In 1906, researchers in Liverpool noticed something that at the time seemed almost incidental. An extract from the intestine could lower blood glucose. Then, insulin was discovered, and that gut finding largely faded into the background. The story didn't end. In the 1960s, clinicians and researchers observed something that didn't fit neatly with the insulin narrative. Drinking glucose produces a bigger insulin response than glucose given intravenously. The gut was clearly sending a signal. Fast forward again, and the trail becomes even more unexpected. In the 1980s, work on the Gila monster led to the isolation of exendin-4, a peptide that could stimulate insulin release and regulate metabolism in a way that was both physiologically elegant and clinically useful. That line of discovery helped shape what we now call GLP-1 receptor agonists. In psychiatric practice, we can stabilize symptoms, but still watch metabolic risk steadily build in the background. Psychotropics in particular can drive weight gain, insulin resistance, dysglycaemia, and lipid changes. And those changes feed back into the clinical picture. Sleep disruption, reduced motivation, stigma, non-adherence, and long-term cardiovascular harm. Most clinicians recognize the problem. The gap is having a practical, prescriber-ready framework. Who should we intervene on early? What do we choose? How do we titrate? What do we monitor? And how do we do this without destabilizing psychiatric care? GLP-1 is often introduced as a metabolic hormone, and it is. It's an incretin that enhances glucose-dependent insulin secretion, suppresses glucagon, slows gastric emptying, and increases satiety. But the reason GLP-1 has become so relevant to psychiatry is this. It's also a gut-brain messenger. GLP-1 receptors are distributed across brain systems that psychiatrists think about every day. Appetite and energy regulation, the hypothalamic circuits, autonomic and visceral signaling, brainstem pathways, and reward and motivation circuitry linked to craving and impulse control. So these agents aren't just weight loss drugs or diabetes drugs. They're increasingly part of a broader clinical conversation about how metabolic state intersects with mood, cognition, energy, and reward-driven behavior, including addiction. And this is exactly what we'll explore in this Academy by Psych Scene webinar. To take us further into this topic, we're privileged to have Professor Roger Chen, a leading endocrinologist with deep expertise in GLP-1 receptor agonists and emerging metabolic therapeutics. At the end of this webinar, you'll leave with practical, clinically usable approach to metabolic management in psychiatric care, including how metabolic dysfunction can influence psychiatric outcomes and recovery, how GLP-1 receptor agonists work, and which patients benefit most, practical prescribing, selection, titration, side effects, and monitoring that actually matters, managing psychotropic-related weight gain, insulin resistance, and dysglycaemia in real-world settings, and a guided overview of emerging metabolic therapies relevant to mental health practice. If you prescribe psychotropics or manage patients where metabolic risk is emerging alongside treatment, this session will strengthen your clinical framework and support more confident, evidence-informed prescribing. So let's get started. Welcome, Professor Chen.